Hey, and welcome into the Big Ten Huddle. I'm your host, JR, and boy, do we have some power rankings to get to tonight with some Big Ten teams falling. Last week in the bottom half, we didn't have very much happening, but oh boy, Wisconsin decided to get their very first win in the Big Ten this season. Washington, so disappointing. We got to move Penn State up, okay? Penn State, I know they lost to Indiana. We got to give them some respect, though. We got to move them up. We got to move Nebraska up after they had an impressive performance over UCLA. It was a close game, but Nebraska was very impressive in that game, and I think we need to give them their props there. And then Rutgers takes down Maryland at Rutgers. So we're going to talk about it all. Let's see who we have here with us. Max is here. Max, appreciate you being here as always. Did I say presented by FanDuel? If I if I didn't, oh boy, it's 12:30 here. We're on the East Coast, but we're making it. We're making it. So let's start with who we have here in the comments with us. Max says there's a small but legitimate chance the ACC sends no teams to the CFP this year. If a four-loss Duke or SMU wins the championship, they will be ranked under several 11-1, 11-2 G5 championships. That's actually a very good point there, Max. If Duke wins it or SMU wins it, and they're not ranked as high as a Memphis or James Madison, that's another team that not everybody's given too much consideration about. Then they have some chances as well. So you look at the ACC on the odds right now. Actually, I don't think they have the odds. No, they do. They do. So right now, oh, they're completely locked. Duke is locked. They don't have the odds for Duke right now as I'm looking at it. So none of these ACC teams have like favored odds to do it. The best odds is Miami at plus 520. Or no, I apologize, Georgia Tech at plus 205. I do think Miami, maybe. But if Miami's not the ACC champ, then yeah, I mean this is such a crazy league right now with everything going on. Kudos to you there, Max, for pointing that out. That I didn't thought about that yet. That's going to be pretty insane. Brett, appreciate you being here. He says Wisconsin isn't the the worst team in the Big Ten. Yeah, that's Purdue for me right now. But very close second is Michigan State. Michigan State just didn't lose this week, so they couldn't be worse. Yeah, James, ACC has sunk to a new low for sure. Rafay, hey, Rutgers. There we go, man. Rutgers, they are alive and well. Sonny Verma, Sonny, my main man, Sonny, appreciate you being here. Says really happy for Wisconsin. I'm happy for Wisconsin too. I said after the win, I was like, I'm just happy for Luke Fickell, right? Like I felt bad for him. I watch all of these press conferences of all of these Big Ten head coaches, and Luke Fickell is by far the most depressed out of all of them. Like if there was like a depression meter, he is down in the absolute dumps, terrible place. So I have him just in a terrible place right now. But obviously that is what it is. So, all right, let's get to the power rankings here. Bunch of people in the chat. Appreciate you guys being here. We're going to try to get through this because, as Buckeye Nation pointed out, late night. Nice, JR. Hey, it is a late night. I need to get to bed, though, because I do try to wake up in the morning for my family. So, to be present with them, I should probably not go to bed at 2 a.m., but that could also happen. So, we'll see. All right, let's do... Sonny says we need a Big Ten Huddle coach depression meter power rankings. Yeah, we do need that. I'll have to put that together this week or sometime soon or something. Luke Fickell wouldn't be last. Honestly, Jonathan Smith is probably last at this point. So Max says Zach needs a slimmer. Zach's away on vacation right now, so you guys aren't going to see Zach for a couple weeks. He's be resting it up, and I think he's in Europe or something like that. European tour. Zach, he's not in Indiana, so who knows? Zach might come back and be a USC fan or something. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Every time he goes on a trip, he seems to be fond of a certain team or something. So, all right, let's get to the power rankings here. No surprise, I have Ohio State number 1. Still a little bit of a challenge from Purdue in some areas. Like Purdue got a couple sacks on them, and Julian Sain threw an interception, but nothing substantial enough to move Ohio State out of the number 1 spot. So I still have them there. Indiana, number 2, they're still 1A, 1B for me. I did think that Indiana did not look super impressive in this one, but you know what? Ohio State hasn't looked super impressive in some games as well. I'm not saying they didn't look impressive, but just not maybe as super impressive as it is as winning 52-3. So I'm not going to overreact to it. excuse me, I do feel better about Ohio State at 1 than I have in the past after this week, but it's November of college football. Anything can happen next week, and it's gonna be complete madness. So Oregon number 3 got them there. They beat Iowa. Can't move them up over Indiana. I shouldn't say I can't. I have Nebraska over Minnesota. I'll explain that in a little bit. So I do have Oregon there, but Indiana at number 2. I did not feel like I saw enough from Oregon to move them up over Indiana despite that. So I'm gonna keep them there. USC, I did move up over Iowa. I'm feeling better about USC after the win over Northwestern, how they were able to kind of shut them out in the second half. I think Northwestern got a field goal, but Northwestern battled in that one, and it was an impressive play by Jada Mayava to force the fumble, going into the end zone, the touchback, all that stuff. So definitely wanted to give props there for that. Iowa at number 5. I didn't want to drop Iowa too far. I felt like Iowa still played a good game. I felt like Iowa needed to get a kick return or a punt return for a touchdown or a pick six in this game to win. Now, they still could have won. They could have stopped Oregon on that drive and not let them go down the field and get a field goal. But I felt like that was imperative for them to get a kick return, punt return, or a pick six in that game to win it, and they weren't able to do that. So I still think Iowa's a good team. I still think Iowa's a top 5, top 6 team in the Big Ten at the very least, and I got to give them their props for that. Illinois did not play this week, but they get to move on up because you know what? Washington, they sucked. Washington moved down quite a lot. Sorry, Washington fans. I take no joy in your team losing, but it was just that is so mind-boggling that Washington would lose to Wisconsin. I had a bad feeling about that game, and I gave Washington a low point total, but man, I did not think they would only score 10 points against Wisconsin. Tough night for Washington. We'll talk about them in a minute, but Illinois, they essentially move up because Washington moved down. Same thing with Michigan. They move up because Washington moved down. And then Nebraska, I have at number 8. Minnesota, I have at number 9. I understand that Minnesota beat Nebraska. I did move Nebraska up because I do feel like that game was far enough away and it was at Minnesota that I do feel like if Nebraska and Minnesota played again, that I do think that Nebraska would win. And also, like, this is a little hot takey, but I would love to know if you guys agree with it or not. Please let me know in the chat. I think Nebraska's better with TJ Lateef than they are with Dylan Raiola. Like they didn't have a sack in this game, and TJ Lateef was 13 of 15, but they just kept things really simple. And Dana Holgorsen didn't try to do too much, and TJ Lateef basically said, "This is my one read. If it's not there, I'm going to take off." And Dylan Raiola would hold the ball for way too long. So I get Minnesota beating Iowa, and I'm not trying to be like one of those contrarian people or whatever, but I do think that this Nebraska team looked better with TJ Lateef at quarterback than Dylan Raiola. Does that mean that TJ Lateef is a better quarterback than Dylan Raiola? No, not necessarily. Does that mean that TJ Lateef needs to be the quarterback when Dylan Raiola comes back? No, not necessarily. But in this game, at this moment, I think this team looks better with TJ Lateef. I think they're leaning more on Emmett Johnson, which I think is good. I think he's a really good, he is a really good player for this team. And that's kind of my main reason there. And also this Nebraska defense looked better. So it's interesting. But I take full hatred from Minnesota fans for putting Nebraska over you. I get why you would be upset. Just know I do not hate your Gophers, Dave. Just know I do not hate your Gophers. I'm just trying to be honest with my power rankings here. If TJ Lateef comes out next week and he's 5 for 11 and 3 picks and everything else, then I will promptly move them back down because there's definitely the thought of like the new starting quarterback type of stuff where somebody just plays better that way. But we'll have to see. So. Max says, I think USC and Michigan are the only dark horses with an outside chance of making the playoffs at this point. Anybody else think differently? No, and if you look at the college football playoff odds, the only teams with odds right now in the Big Ten are Indiana, Michigan, Oregon, and USC. Obviously, Ohio State is so far up there. They're going to be favored so much in the rest of their remaining games, other than Michigan. And even if they lose to Michigan, they're still making the college football playoffs. So they're fine. Indiana, they're like just like they don't even have a yes. It's just no at plus 5,000 on FanDuel. So that's the only reason they're in there. And then Oregon, they grew to minus 300 on there. USC is plus 410 and Michigan is plus 680. Iowa completely ruined their chances. Washington completely ruined. I shouldn't say Iowa completely ruined them. There is a world where Iowa could possibly get in. If Iowa beats USC and Nebraska continues to win out and they get ranked, Iowa could find them in a situation where they are high enough up there to possibly get into the playoffs if there's enough parity. Say Notre Dame loses to Pitt, Texas loses to Georgia and Texas A&M, and Oklahoma loses to who do they play? Alabama. You could see Iowa possibly jump up there and get there, and the ACC continues to cannibalize themselves, right? You could see Iowa get up there high enough to be able to be up there, but you would have to have Georgia Tech, Louisville and Virginia both lost today, so they're both probably going to be. I mean, they should both be under Iowa. Well, I guess we'll see if they are or not. But you lose to what was it, Cal and Wake Forest? Yeah, Virginia and Louisville. Maybe not Louisville, but Virginia should not be ranked after this. Like they should not be in the top 25. It was kind of ridiculous they ever were. Like I get they had to be up there because of the wins and stuff, but yeah. And I think Oregon should be ranked over Texas Tech. Personally, I don't like I get Texas Tech beat BYU, but BYU was never a super proven team. I think Oregon should be number 5 up there. I think Oregon should be over Georgia after beating Iowa here, but that's just me. We're going to go over playoff rankings and stuff next time. So, Steely Matt, appreciate you sharing the show. Thanks for doing that. If there's anybody else out there on X watching Twitter, Steely Matt is always the best about that, and we very much appreciate that, Steely Matt. So thank you for sharing the show for us. Okay. Minnesota did not play this week, so hard to move them up or down. I had to do it with Illinois and Michigan, but I generally try not to move by people all that much, like not by by teams, teams on bye weeks and stuff like that, all that much. So Penn State, I actually did move up. So I moved Penn State up to number 10 because I did think what they did to Indiana was impressive. In full clarity, I believe I moved Iowa up after they've played close to Indiana as well. So I think that Penn State, even though it's really, really tough for them right now and there is a lot of depression going on over there in Happy Valley, I do think that this is a team that's showing that they do have talent and they're just going through some really tough teams right now. They played Ohio State really good for a quarter, and they were in that game at halftime by 3 points. They played Iowa very tough, and Iowa had to win that game at the very end, and they played Indiana very tough, and Indiana had to win that game at the very end. So, going to give Penn State some credit here. Team I'm not going to give a lot of credit to, because their number 11 is Washington, and this Washington team, I thought they were different on the road when they beat Maryland, but what we discovered was they aren't different on the road. It's just Maryland can't finish games anywhere, home, away, anywhere, and Washington benefited from that. So that was a situation where whoever could lose it more was going to lose it, and Maryland just happened to be the one that was going to lose it more in that game. I mean, no disrespect to Washington, they still won that game, but yeah, not great for Washington right now. So they're gonna have to go back home and beat another team. But man, that's gonna be such a blemish on Illinois and teams like that. And it goes to show why when you lose on the road in the Big Ten, you should not be dinged as much as you are in places like the AP poll and the college football playoff rankings, because winning on the road in the Big Ten is really, really freaking difficult. So it's really hard to do, and teams like Oregon should get a lot of respect for beating Iowa on the road. Teams like USC should get a lot of respect for beating Nebraska on the road. Like, those are tough places to go play. If Iowa beats Nebraska later on and Nebraska wins out and gets to that point, like, Iowa should get a ton of credit for being able to beat Nebraska, especially going up there. There is no reason why a 3-loss Iowa team should be behind any 2-loss ACC team. Maybe Miami, but there is no reason why a 3-loss Iowa team should not be ranked this week in the college football playoff top 25, and there is no reason why they should they should be behind like a 2-loss ACC team unless maybe Miami, but yeah. So, oh boy. All right, let's get to Northwestern. Move them down one. I didn't think it was a great performance by them in the second half, but they were able to hang with USC there for the first half, so I'm not going to move them down too much. UCLA, I honestly thought about moving up over Northwestern, but I didn't. I haven't felt like UCLA changed enough as a team to really make me feel like I would definitely take them over Northwestern. I I know that they lost that game after the firing of the coach and then Tino Sinceri and stuff. So I did give some thought to UCLA over Northwestern, but I need to see them win to do that. I can't see them in a loss do that. Yes, they were close to Nebraska, but Nebraska I also have lower in my power rankings than I do, USC. So and UCLA was at home. Maybe if UCLA was on the road and beat Nebraska, I'd move them up. But yeah, Rutgers. Hey man, this was. Rafe, man, this was your offense being on display in this one. Tons of yardage in this one. Ian Strong had 3 touchdowns. Excuse me, 3 receiving touchdowns. Antoine Raymond, man, he was a beast. Nearly 250 yards rushing all by himself. It was a fantastic game for Rutgers and their offense. Defense, still struggled a little bit. Let Malik Washington run for nearly 200 yards on him and stuff, but they did hold the passing and they were able to get an interception in that game. So I want to give Rutgers credit, but I don't know if I can put them over a UCLA or Northwestern at this point. So I want to give them credit. If they were completely solid in the red zone and scored every time, maybe I would have, but I still have some concerns about the Rutgers red zone attack. If they're not scoring outside the 20 sometimes, I don't know if they're going to score. So that's just how it goes. But it was only one time they scored outside the 20 this week. So, all right, Maryland, I moved down only by 1. Maybe I'm still holding on to it too much, but I don't think I can move Maryland down under Wisconsin because of one game, and also that game really, really benefited Wisconsin in the way they play. Right? I still don't think Washington should lose to a team that only passes the ball for less than 50 yards out there. But still, impressive that Wisconsin was able to get the win. It was to their advantage the way they played and the way the weather was, but still impressive they were able to do that. And then Michigan State, they didn't play; they just moved down because I thought Wisconsin was better. And then Purdue, I honestly thought about keeping them above Michigan State because of some of the ways they were challenging Ohio State, but I did not. We'll see. Maybe I'll move them up eventually. But Purdue, you have reclaimed the last place spot in the Big Ten power rankings. Congratulations. So maybe you should be 17th. Maybe Michigan State should be last place. Who knows? James said the Husky punter was the leading passer. Yeah, was it Sean Martin? The whiskey. I think you mean the whiskey. The Wisconsin punter was the leading passer. Yeah, I think he had like a 28-yard pass or something like that on a fake or something. Yeah, that was funny. And I remember I brought it up with Zach. I was like, "Hey, what quarterback's going to start for Wisconsin?" And he was like, "Well, I don't know." But turns out they all 3 played: Danny Collins, Hunter Simmons, the true freshman. Oh, why am I blank on his name? It's not Carl Smith. Carter Smith. He played as well. Yeah, really, really interesting stuff. Okay, yeah, you were talking about Wisconsin. Yeah. So, all right. Hey, it's almost 1 a.m. here, guys. This is my power ranking show. I just wanted to get it out for you guys. We'll talk more tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, it's just going to be me solo by myself unless I find somebody at some point. But basically, we'll go over all of these games in a little bit more depth, try to get you guys' thoughts and comments a little bit more. And then what we'll do is I'll give my top 12 teams in college football. So I'll be watching a few more games and stuff on Sunday because typically I just watch Big Ten this on Saturday, and then I have like recorded games and everything, and I have a way where I can kind of abbreviate them in 60 minutes, and so I typically watch those on Sunday a little bit more. I don't get to every single game on Sunday, but at least the most important ones I do. So I'll do my top 12 tomorrow, and then Indiana fans, we'll talk about the Heisman race. we'll talk about the Heisman race, because the Heisman race is heating up between two players right now, and we got some things to talk about with it all. I'm looking forward to getting you guys' thoughts. I put out a video on the Heisman race between Fernando Mendoza and Julian Sain. Go check that out if you would, and it'd be awesome. So, Max says, try to get Sam if he's available. That's a good thought. I have not had Sam on for a little while. I will try to get Sam on. That's a really good thought there, Max. Thank you for suggesting that. I'll send him a message tomorrow. We'll see. So, all right, everybody. Appreciate you being here. Have a good one. See you tomorrow night. Bye.